This is going to be my longest and probably most controversial video. At first, you're going to think my channel has been hacked or I've been forced to talk at gunpoint, but by the end, well, let's just hope you get that far. Recently, my server OG Network released a new pay-to-win survival game mode. I know, the anti-pay-to-win guy releasing a pay-to-win game mode hardly makes sense, but it will in due time. In order to explain the revelation I've come to the past 2 years, I'm going to be sharing some sensitive information in this video, including how much money in total my server has made, how much we've spent, and much more. I'm also going to share with you some behind the scenes controversies in the anti-pay-to-win community, which has led me to gain a new perspective hidden to the general public. I'm going to ultimately tell you why Minecraft servers need to be pay-to-win. Let's begin. So, what's exactly happened to warrant such a long and dramatic video? Well, as of just a day ago now, I did the unthinkable on my Minecraft server og-network.net and released a pay-to-win survival game mode. The game mode is an RPG SMP where players can pick one of 4 unique classes, Rogue, Droid, Cleric, and Shogun, each with special activatable abilities and perks, and level up those abilities to beat dungeons of increasing difficulties and upgrade their gear beyond vanilla levels. The server has ranks, and these ranks do in fact give you advantages, from kits with useful gear to player warps where players can set up shops and bases which other players can visit, extra auction house slots, extra play vaults, and more. The game mode is not competitive though. PvP is enabled, which allows you to use the cool class abilities in fights, but ultimately this is a peaceful cooperative survival game mode where you can protect your land and builds with claims and work together with others to build huge bases, to get through dungeons and eventually get rare enchantments to upgrade gear and skills in an RPG style. And like I said, while it isn't competitive, it is still pay to win. But why? My server is meant to be non-pay to win. I've always been against pay to win servers, I even dupe on them. How does it make sense that I, of all people, would release a pay to win game mode? Isn't that extremely hypocritical? Am I just money hungry or greedy? Well, my critics would certainly say so, but it's a lot deeper than that. You have to hear me out and make up your mind for yourself. Let's get the big question out the way first. Why did I change my mind? Ever since my channel began in early 2020, I was always strongly opposed to pay-to-win Minecraft servers. Have a listen to a 500 subscriber TheMisterEpic talk about it in his very first video essay way back in March of 2020.
Cosmic PvP did have a very large impact on factions. It was overall negative, as many servers would monetize their features much more than you would even see in mobile games today. A lot of faction servers would make things unnecessarily grindy in order to try and tempt players to spend real money on the game.
And this wasn't an uncommon occurrence. Sometimes I would make entire videos dedicated to the topic, which, keep in mind, was over 2 years before I did duping videos or that style of video ever became popular on YouTube. In fact, I disliked pay-to-win Minecraft servers so much that I opened my own non-pay-to-win one in April of 2021, and while I didn't know it at the time, this would spell the beginning of the end of my dislike for pay-to-win servers. But let's ignore that all for now and skip ahead all the way to April of last year. In April of last year, I decided to conduct a bit of research. I got a custom script made that would track the revenue of a selection of about 20 Minecraft servers over the span of a month. I did this by scraping their website's recent purchases section and documenting every purchase. The reason I said I made the video was to ultimately attempt to estimate Hypixel server revenue, but what I didn't mention was that initially this wasn't even going to be a video, and the reason I was doing this was to collect data in private so I could compare the earnings of pay-to-win servers to non-pay-to-win ones. And the results were, well, worse than I could have imagined. Here's the average player count of some non-pay-to-win servers and how much money they made in 30 days. Massive Craft, an entirely non-pay-to-win server averaging around 50 players and peaking at 100 players, made $1,170 US that month. PvP Gym, a German non-pay-to-win server averaging around 100 players, made $917 US. Stray.gg, a server averaging 100 to 125 plays daily at the time, made $2,200 US. Fire Vanilla, averaging 75 to 125 players, made $1,700 US. And then finally, Purity Vanilla, a non-pay-to-win semi-anarchy server averaging 75 players at the time, we actually miscalculated their revenue as $3,160 $100 due to their Tebek store's rank upgrades being set up differently and inflated it by triple, as the server's owners kindly pointed out. So they likely actually made around $1,000 in that month as well. Now, let's compare these figures to some pay-to-win servers of the same size. Vanilla Europa, a semi-pay-to-win server averaging 50 to 60 players, made $3,612, almost 3 times more than most of the non-pay-to-win servers the same size, if not bigger. Pay-to-win server Melon SMP, averaging only around 30 to 40 players at the time, half as much as most of the non-pay-to-win servers, made almost $4,000. Mineville, a server with 75 to 80 average players, $4,746. Speed MC, a server with 60 to 70 players, made almost $5,000. And finally, Purple Prison, a server which averages 75 to 100 players, $32,115. Do you guys notice the obscene discrepancies here? These pay-to-win servers aren't just making a bit more or even double the amount compared to non-pay-to-win ones. They're making 4 times, 5 times, or even 30 times what the non-pay-to-win servers make with the same number of players, if not less. And keep in mind, this is purely revenue, not profit. After I uploaded this video, I got a comment from the Massive Craft server confirming our data was almost spot on, but also mentioning that out of the $1,190 they made on average per month, they only take home about $100 in profit. Then I got a comment from the manager of Fire Vanilla, mentioning how in only a few months, they had lost 75% of their revenue and were making only $900 a month roughly now. And I talked with some server owners after this, such as the owner of the server MC Arcadia, a non-pay-to-win server which at the time was peaking at over 100 players daily, and they mentioned that over a 16-month period since January 2022, they had lost money most months, their most profitable months only being profitable by about $5. For the entire of 2022, the server lost $712. He mentioned he had thought of shutting down the server many times due to his financial situation and could barely afford to pay for the server some months. Running a non-pay-to-win server is extremely hard, guys. They barely get by. So, that's the facts of the situation laid out, but if I ended the video there, I could almost predict what a good chunk of you would comment or say, something along the lines of, Minecraft servers shouldn't make money, or you shouldn't run a server to make a profit, it should just be for fun, yada yada yada. That raises a valid point though. Should Minecraft servers even make money in the first place? Minecraft purists will look to 2010 and 2011, where no servers really made any money, and reminisce on the golden days. I was like this for many years as well, and believed the same myself. But we have to face the facts. That era is long gone, and while that line of thinking might seem valid, let me tell you why it only serves to hurt the Minecraft multiplayer landscape and make pay-to-win servers more and more dominant. When you run a server, you have a variety of unavoidable monthly expenses. You of course have the actual physical server, which you basically have to host at a data center called OVH if you want to run a server in America where most are. A server that can handle 50 to 200 average players can cost anywhere from $200 to $350 per month. And no, there aren't really any other cheaper options for America. OVH is a necessity, it's virtually the only host that provides adequate DDoS protection. Trust me, my server tried multiple different hosts throughout 2021, which only led to multiple days of downtime. Then, in addition to hosting costs, you also have plugin and development costs, which can range anywhere from $50 to over $1,000 a month, depending on what plugins are being developed or purchased. If you pay staff like mods or people to manage and maintain your game modes, which is pretty common as a server is not a one-man job, you normally need a small team, then you have that cost as well, which can set you back anywhere from a few $100s to over $1,000 per month. So with all of these expenses, you can easily see how non-pay-to-win servers are treading a very fine line here. And we still have one big expense we haven't even talked about yet: advertising. Gone are the days of posting your server on Reddit or Planet Minecraft and getting dozens of players from there. While it's still possible to get some, you won't get far if you use them nowadays. These days, there are a few ways to advertise a Minecraft server, but ultimately it comes down to 3 main avenues. Number 1 is through YouTube videos or streams, like I do with my server. Number 2 is through TikTok and to a similar extent, YouTube Shorts. You've likely seen many TikToks or Shorts like this before.
I disguised as a fake dime in order to troll X-rayers.
And number 3 is through paying to be listed on voting websites. For any server that isn't owned by a YouTuber, which is almost all of them, you're going to have to pay pay regardless of the avenue you choose. You can pay YouTubers to make videos on your server, you can pay people to upload TikToks or YouTube Shorts promoting your server, or you can pay for slots on voting websites so your server is seen by players. Paying YouTubers isn't that common anymore, as most sizable YouTubers don't make videos on public servers, so we won't focus on that one. But TikToks and YouTube Shorts are huge right now and can cost anywhere from $100 to close to or over $500 depending on the size of the creator or the views the TikTok or Short gets. And that doesn't sound too bad, especially at the lower end, but the problem is, in order for your server to maintain players, you need constant promotion. One TikTok or Short won't cut it for long. You have to keep paying someone or make your own, which most server owners generally don't have the skills or time to successfully pull off. When you need multiple TikToks or Shorts per month to keep a consistent 50 to 100 player count and are paying even at the minimum $100 to $200, you can quickly see how that can add up, especially for our non-pay-to-win servers, which are barely cracking the 4 digits in revenue per month already. So how are non-pay-to-win servers supposed to get players then? Well, hey, if you can make TikTok work, consider yourself lucky, because the other option, being voting websites, is a million times worse. You see, these voting websites aren't fair in the slightest. In order to be featured on the first page or on top of them, which is all 99% of people searching for servers look at, you have to pay exuberant amounts of money. Some voting websites charge as much as $20,000 per month just to be featured at number 1, with the other slots costing thousands of dollars monthly as well. And don't even bother trying the normal non-paid for slots, because servers just buy votes anyways, also costing exuberant amounts of cash. Take a closer look at some of these voting websites and you'll notice something. Almost all of the top spots, which cost the big bucks, are occupied by the same handful of servers. Some, like MC Complex, occupy the top spot on 9 of them, costing God knows how much per month, but they can afford it and profit off it because they are paid to win. You'll notice the same with the other 5 or 10 top slots as well. They are almost all exclusively populated by the same dozen or so popular pay-to-win servers. There is no chance in hell a non-pay-to-win server can ever get their name on here, because they barely make enough per month, let alone per year, to afford one of these slots in just revenue alone. And since 99% of players don't actually browse server lists as intended and just copy and paste the IP of one of the first servers that show up on their screen upon clicking one of the first links on Google, no other servers ever get any exposure or players from these sites unless they cough up the big bucks. This is why so few non-pay-to-win servers exist, because unfortunately, most of the time they don't make enough money to actually get their server out there, so you never even hear about them in the first place. Servers need money to actually obtain and maintain players, otherwise they are doomed. Non-pay-to-win servers need more money, otherwise they are doomed. Now, I'm not done outlining why the mindset of servers aren't supposed to make money is a stupid one, as there's another big reason servers need money. Players, especially those in the anti-pay-to-win community, always complain about how stale big pay-to-win servers are, how they are all rip-offs of one another, with the same boring pay-to-win game modes, and that all a non-pay-to-win server needs to do is be different and stand out to succeed. So how do non-pay-to-win servers stand out then? Well, they release unique game modes or do something novel. That's how. This is also an issue though, as developing custom game modes can require a lot of custom plugins, since if you're doing something unique, pre-existing plugins likely won't exist to meet your needs. And this is expensive. For example, my server has been developing a unique mode based on factions containing unique plugins, like a Civilizations plugin amongst much more. This game mode has cost us $4,000 to $5,000 so far. And keep in mind, my server is cheating because we have zero advertising costs. A normal non-pay-to-win server simply will not have the money to throw at such development. Guess who can afford such development though? That's the other issue being overlooked here. We all want to see non-pay-to-win servers succeed and the bigger pay-to-win ones fail, but for that to happen, the non-pay-to-win servers need to beat the competition by providing a better product or having more exposure so people see and join their server instead. Now tell me, how the hell are they supposed to do that when pay-to-win servers are out-earning them by 4 to 5 times, if not more, per month? Guys, it's really quite simple. The Minecraft server industry is feast or famine. If you are paid to win, you have access to so many more resources than non-pay-to-win servers, giving you substantially more advertising potential and plugin development potential, which only serves to make you even more successful. It's a scenario where the rich only get richer, and the servers who don't have money can never realistically catch up. So, if you actually want to see these terrible pay-to-win, exploitative, predatory servers that are so often complained about actually go away, the only way to do that is to provide better alternatives. And a non-pay-to-win server can basically never provide a better alternative because they simply do not have the money and resources to do so. One final point I want to touch on here is that it's extremely impertinent to assume that Minecraft servers should not make money. I really hate whenever I see people say this because running a Minecraft server, especially one with a significant player base, is hard work. You have to constantly maintain the server, of which its players are so regularly finding bugs and exploits, have to advertise and come up with new ideas to keep the server fresh or fun, you have to manage and communicate with a small team and developers, deal with DDoS attacks and other random events at any time of the day, and much more. Server owners are often investing upwards of 20 to 30 hours a week on their servers, and going up to them and telling them that they shouldn't make any money for their huge commitment is just so disrespectful and presumptuous, it's crazy to me. These people have jobs and other commitments outside of their server and deserve to have something to take home for all their work. But anywho, let's move on now. I hope I've made it clear to you why non-pay-to-win servers will realistically never see too much success, and how pay-to-win servers will ultimately never be surpassed if things remain as they are currently. And here is what I've come to realize over the past year or so. Rather than being entirely anti-pay-to-win, as is common right now, we should look to target the things that are actually harmful, like gambling, and instead promote ethical monetization. Ethical monetization, what do I mean by this? Well, it's very straightforward actually. Ethical monetization is simply game monetization which is not deceptive, is clear in what you get for paying money, doesn't involve misleading tactics like permanent fake sales, and most importantly, does not involve real money pay-to-win gambling in any way, shape, or form. A good example of ethical monetization is actually most SMPs or survival servers if you got rid of the crates. That's right, these days many pay-to-win servers aren't actually that bad if you ignore the crates and gambling, because they have mostly non-predatory monetization schemes. And what I mean by that is best explained by Clash of Clans. In Clash of Clans, as you play more, get a higher town hall, and unlock more buildings, it takes longer and longer to progress to the next town hall, requiring more time per upgrade, more resources per upgrade, and overall becoming extremely grindy, thus gradually making the need and desire to pay to win and buy gems more and more prevalent. This is intentional by design, of course, and Supercell will gradually expose you more and more to their shop as you play more and more to facilitate this relationship. Most survival servers these days are the opposite of that. Generally, the perks you get from ranks and from the store become less and less necessary the more you play. Why would you need a top rank with the best kit and gear when you already have dozens of pieces of gear the equivalent or better than that kit because you've played the server a decent amount? If you ignore the gambling, most pay-to-win survival servers are relatively ethically monetized these days. Now that line can very easily blur though. For example, prison-type servers tend to be the opposite and lean more into the grindy Clash of Clans type setup, where as you play more and rank up to different prison wards, it only costs more and becomes more time-consuming to progress. But in an era of lifesteal SMPs, Skyblock, and just general survival servers, prison game modes are not as prevalent as they once were, and as such, most servers tend to be more ethically monetized, once again, if you ignore the crates and gambling. Ultimately, rather than being entirely against pay-to-win, we should instead be supporting ethically monetized pay-to-win servers that do not include gambling. This is the best of both worlds. Since they are pay-to-win, they will still obtain the resources and money to compete with the larger unethically monetized servers that contain gambling. And since they don't include gambling or predatory monetization schemes, they are still mostly fair and enjoyable to play on. It's never going to be perfect, I know, it sucks that there's still the element of pay-to-win present, but it's the only realistic way the bigger unethically monetized pay-to-win servers will ever face significant competition. But if I'm fine with pay-to-win, then why do I keep making duping videos on pay-to-win servers? Well, if you've been paying attention to those duping videos over the past few months, you would have noticed a shift in my opinion as well. The pay-to-win mechanics on Pika Network are pretty much fine and aren't predatory, but like every other server that exists today, they do of course have a variety of crate and crate keys. While it is pay to win, that isn't really an issue. The real issue is the crate keys, monthly crates, and loot boxes, enabling gambling on a server mostly played by kids. I generally don't take issue with servers pay to win mechanics anymore and haven't for some time, but rather with their gambling mechanics. which unfortunately come hand in hand with almost all pay-to-win servers. You see, gambling, which in Minecraft is crates, otherwise known as loot boxes, is one of the most harmful things you can experience when gaming online. Not only are loot boxes shown to correlate highly with psychometric scales designed to assess the harms of gambling, such as the Problem Gambling Severity Index, but it's also so dangerous because of the significant portion of the players buying them being teenagers who, due to their younger age, are generally more impulsive and thus susceptible to predatory game mechanics. If you really want to add crates, there are alternatives such as making them purely cosmetic or making them not directly purchasable and instead only available in limited amounts like with a kit and a cooldown, but this doesn't make as much money, so servers probably won't do it. Crates are a far bigger problem than a server selling a rank that gives you some fancy armor and tools or some extra commands, and what I think is the real issue with Minecraft servers that we should be focusing on rather than just general pay-to-win mechanics. It's why I, despite no longer disliking pay-to-win, still make duping videos. Duping on a server almost never ends up doing any long-term damage to the server, I'm well aware of that, and factually displayed it in this video here. The reason I continue to make duping videos is because it's the best method of raising awareness to you guys who are these servers players about the harms of gambling and crates. It's the best way for me to send a message to the masses that you should not purchase crates and crate keys on these servers. I don't dupe on servers because I want to take them down or destroy them, that's simply never going to happen. I dupe on these servers because it raises awareness into why they can be harmful, and that has worked to some extent. 10 years ago now, nobody really cared if a Minecraft server was pay to win or not. There wasn't an anti-pay to win movement at all. However, these past 2 to 3 years, there are far more people, including influential ones like YouTubers and server owners, who do tend to dislike pay to win servers. We can do the exact same thing, just with a specific focus on anti-gambling, and maybe, just maybe, there will be a slow shift and servers will choose to remove crates and real money gambling. It's certainly not impossible, just look at Donut SMP. Donut SMP, the biggest SMP in the world right now, effectively removed the entire gambling element from their crates by allowing players to outright choose the item they want from it. And that ultimately is my goal with the duping videos and why I continue to make them, despite no longer being against pay-to-win servers. I want to raise awareness, which hopefully one day will lead to the removal of all forms of real money pay-to-win gambling from Minecraft servers. And speaking of the anti-pay-to-win community, there is also a big issue I have with some of them, which is where this video takes another potentially controversial turn. To preface this, I need to obviously mention that there still do exist significant members of the anti-pay-to-win community which have stuck true to their morals and who I know genuinely want to see an improvement in the multiplayer landscape. But on the other hand, there are also a selection of individuals who could not care less about improving the Minecraft multiplayer landscape or spreading a message and simply use the entire anti-pay-to-win movement for either their own financial gain or as an excuse to crash and dupe on servers. I don't want to name names as I don't want anybody to be harassed, but for a decent amount of time now, there's been a few individuals which run large Discord servers where they charge players money for access to dupe exploits and methods. These individuals continue under the guise of being anti-pay-to-win and wanting to improve the Minecraft landscape, but in reality, they couldn't give a crap. I first came to this realization due to an incident that occurred a few months ago. A while back, I was involved in a dupe with one of these individuals alongside fellow YouTuber Duper Trooper. We did the dupe all good, and then a few months passed. Me and Duper upload our videos and then another 1 or 2 weeks pass. Then I get a DM from said individual asking me for money as they were the one who found the dupe and showed it to us, wanting a cut in revenue from the video. Now, if that individual had told me months ago prior to conducting the dupe that they wanted some form of payment since they found the dupe exploit and shared it with us, then it would have been much more reasonable and maybe we could have worked something out. But that individual only came and asked us for money months after he saw our videos were doing well, and that's a precedent I simply did not want to set. So I didn't respond to that individual and decided to cut the already weak ties I had with them on advice from some other individuals. If that individual had reached out again a few months later to talk about it, I would have been open to having a discussion, but that never happened. A few months passed by again, and a newer server crash exploit has been found, and the individuals are releasing this crash exploit in their Discord to their highest paying members. These individuals decide to crash my server, which remember is non-pay to win, simply because I didn't respond for months to the specific individual's DM. and they try to get my attention by going into my discords and spamming things. Now, it's whatever. I don't really care about someone crashing my server. It happens all the time, no matter how petty. In fact, I often turn it into videos itself if it's notable enough. But what this scenario made very clear to me was that a significant portion of the anti-pay-to-win community couldn't give a rat's ass about pay-to-win and non-pay-to-win servers and simply use it as a guise or excuse to dupe on and crash servers for their own enjoyment or to make money. Further evidence comes from the fact that they were going to quit once their Patreon got banned and they could no longer make a profit from selling dupes. Yet, they still go on about how much they hate anti-pay-to-win servers and make it seem like they are acting for the good of the community, when realistically, all they want to see is money in their pockets. And this extends outside of just this Discord selling dupes as well. Many people in the anti-pay-to-win community are just using it for their own financial gain. You can even see this on YouTube. Now, I need to make it clear that there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I don't want to be the gatekeeper of who can and can't do what. If you want to sell dupes and make money off the anti-pay-to-win community, then do it. But then don't go around pretending you care about servers being pay-to-win or anti-pay-to-win, as it's extremely disingenuous when in reality, you are only in it for your own financial gain or personal enjoyment and have crashed non-pay-to-win servers that are actively trying to accomplish the same goal you claim to be striving for. These individuals don't want to actually see the Minecraft server landscape improve, because then there is less opportunities for them to make money. It's even worse because these individuals actually cause harm to the anti-pay-to-win movement. Ask any server owner or individual who actually has experience running a server what they think of the anti-pay-to-win community, and they will say it's full of malicious people who don't know what they are talking about and just want to cause harm. No change will come from this. And I hate to break it to you all, but I agree with them. Oftentimes, I'll have arguments with people in my Discord about pay-to-win servers, and 9 times out of 10, they will say something like, selling things is against the Minecraft EULA, when 1, it's not, and 2, they don't even know anything about the EULA, as it's not even the EULA which controls what servers can and can't do, but the commercial usage guidelines. I won't go into too much detail here because I've talked about it in other videos before, but basically all you need to know is that servers are allowed to be paid to win and sell advantages if their server is not competitive, and what Mojang considers as competitive are servers which either have leaderboards or real money payouts, as shown by their actions against such servers in the past. That's it. You might disagree with that, and I would agree with you that it's vague and needs clarification, but that's the facts of the guidelines currently. Anyways, these people in the anti-pay-to-win community don't actually know what they are talking about, and it really harms the credibility of the entire movement because all they do is parrot misinformation. The most ironic thing is when these very same players who hate pay-to-win servers so much and claim they are against the EULA actively play on them as well. I don't necessarily blame them for playing pay-to-win servers either. There aren't many non-pay-to-win ones out there for reasons I've made clear to you earlier in the video, but you'd think if they actively hated pay-to-win servers so much, they would at least be playing on and trying to support the non-pay-to-win ones rather than going about crashing them. Regardless, I'm not upset about anything, don't worry. My point is it just feels like a growing number of people claiming to be in the anti-pay-to-win community don't really want to see things improve at all and simply use it as a way to make money or as an excuse to dupe on and crash servers, and that's only setting us further and further back from seeing actual improvement. Another argument I hear against the existence of pay-to-win servers, once again ignoring the gambling features, is the argument that the server's players are all young kids, or stealing their parents' credit cards, or the servers are all exploiting young kids, etc, etc. And while I can't speak for all servers, I can provide some interesting data in that regard that doesn't support this notion. I ran a poll on my server's Discord for a month and a half, only amongst individuals who had spent money on ranks. The poll was straightforward. It asked all server donators how old they were when they first donated to my server. There were 197 responses from 197 separate individuals who spent money on the server. Out of them, only 20 or 10% were 13 or under when they donated, with 40 or 20% being 14 to 15, 52 or 26% being 16 to 17, and importantly, 85 or 43% being over 18. Furthermore, I attempted to find instances from my server's almost 3 years of existence whereby a young kid had stolen their parents' credit card, and we found only one single email from mid-2021 where a 11-year-old player stole his brother's credit card and bought a rank, which the older brother emailed us about. Now, I'm sure there are other instances where this has happened and the parent hasn't noticed or sent an email to us, but guys, this is pretty rare. Amongst the over 1,000 players who have donated to my server, I doubt there are more than 5 cases of a kid taking their parent's card or a kid purchasing something he shouldn't occurring. These servers aren't manipulating young kids into spending money. Overwhelmingly, it's those in their mid to late teens or adults who are making the informed choices on what they want to purchase, once again ignoring crates. This whole notion and idea that pay-to-win servers are predatory because young kids are being manipulated just simply isn't true for everything outside of crates, not to the extent you'll hear people attempt to claim anyways. You could argue that my server may have a different sample of players than other servers because it's not pay-to-win, but that's also not true. Most of the people on my server have or currently play on other servers which are pay-to-win. Most of you guys watching my videos, which is where my server's players come from, have or are currently playing on them as well. And most of the time, an individual finds a dupe on a pay-to-win server and tells us they are active players of that server as well. The player bases are the same, guys. Young kids are not being exploited by the server's non-gambling related pay-to-win mechanics. Alright, so now with all this rather lengthy information I provided you, we can return back to my server and this new pay-to-win mode, and I can tell you why we've decided to release it. As promised, and because I want to be transparent with you all, I'm going to share some details about my server I haven't shared before. In the roughly 2.5 years I've run this server, it has made a total of $41,819 in revenue. In that same time, we have spent close to $10,000 on hosting at almost $300 a month on average, and our total profit based on the money left in the server's PayPal account is $11,704. Doing the math, we can then calculate that we spent a bit over $20,000 on plugins, development, paying people, and basically any other server expenditure we've had over time. And I want to remind you all that my server was in the lucky position where we had permanent free advertising in the form of my YouTube channel. If we also had to pay for advertising or a YouTuber didn't own the server would not have even lasted a month. Now, $11,704 sounds like a lot, but when you take into account that this figure is the result of 2.5 years of work split between two people, myself and the other server owner who maintains the server's backend and keeps it running, it really isn't that much. For me, that's been fine though. I've never run the server for money, I've never touched the portion of the server's profit that's mine because I didn't need it. I could use the server for videos, it gave me interesting things to talk about, and ultimately was a good auditory tool to my channel, helped by the fact that I had the easy owner job of just promoting the server and designing the game modes. But for the server's other owner, one of my personal friends who I knew long before YouTube, who has had the hard job of working tirelessly over the past 2.5 years to maintain the backend of the server, patch bugs, deal with issues round the clock, help development and do configs, amongst other headache-inducing tasks, as well as our server's main admin who has helped with all that immensely, it's really not a good deal. For the other owner of the server, of which we go 50-50 on everything on, that's a take home of about $200 a month. If you consider all the hours he spent on the server each month in terms of a job paying per hour, his pay would be illegal in most first world countries. Now that was fine for him, he always enjoyed running the server and it's something he wanted to do, and he also used it to gain experience in the field of cybersecurity, which we will be working in soon. But the issue becomes when he simply no longer has the time to invest dozens of hours every week into a server with very little financial returns, which is what is going to be happening soon, part of the reason why we decided to begin releasing pay-to-win game modes. This is the case for many of the non-pay-to-win servers out there today, most of which are passion projects tirelessly worked on by their owners and staff. But when that passion fades, the free time disappears and the server is no longer worth the investment. What happens? It's not sustainable long term, full stop. I can already see people commenting the likes of, you should pay for the server with your own YouTube earnings, but that's also a terrible solution. What happens if my channel dies or I stop making money? What happens if I lose interest in Minecraft or YouTube entirely? Having an entire server reliant on another individual is not sustainable in the slightest. I want my server, OG Network, to be a server that is still alive and running 10 years from now, regardless of my channel and my own personal situation. I want it to be the server which you can come back to in multiple years' time and still recognize things from. And in order for that to happen, it has to be self-sustainable in the long term, and currently, while we aren't losing money, as long as the server remains a passion project solely, its days are numbered. Even more so when big $4,000 to $5,000 development costs for new and unique game modes are in the picture. So that's why we are releasing pay-to-win and ethically monetized game modes with no real money pay-to-win gambling, mind you, to cement the server's longevity and future. We won't be changing the current SMP you have seen in videos, or the other two minigames the server already has. Don't worry, you will still be able to enjoy them in all their non-pay-to-win glory. But starting now, OG-network.net will no longer be a non-pay-to-win server, but instead an ethically monetized one, in order to secure its long-lasting future. And if you want to help support that, please do check out the server. Some of you may mention that we and other non-pay-to-win servers should add more cosmetics. Surely my server and non-pay-to-win ones can make more money this way, right? Well, wrong. Cosmetics only really work on minigame servers. People don't really use them on servers with persistent long-term game modes like SMPs and Skyblock. In fact, a study from 2017 comparing the revenue of a pay-to-win and non-pay-to-win server with minigames, which is where I got the idea for my original video from, actually concluded that cosmetic perks do not work well for long-lasting game modes and aren't nearly as appealing there. Minigame servers have also largely died out besides the main big ones and aren't really that common anymore, so just choosing to run minigames isn't a solution either. It makes sense though. Just imagine you are trying to build a base or complex redstone contraption on a competitive survival server, then an annoying ass particle effect obscures half your vision, or your base mate's weird custom hat cosmetic makes it hard to see. This phenomenon is present on my server as well. Our ranks have a variety of cosmetic and non-pay-to-win perks, but can you guess what the main reason people bought them was? Simple, it's the fact that they can get an extra /home, probably the only thing that could be considered a minor advantage out of all the rank perks on the server. Well, they get an extra home for every rank besides the second cheapest one, called Ace. This rank has every single perk the rank above it has, which costs almost double by the way, but the fact that it doesn't have an extra home means it's sold significantly worse. There are 131 people in my Discord with Ace rank. There are 365 with the rank below it, and 237 with the rank above it, and 170 with the second most expensive rank, which costs almost 4 times the Ace rank's price. And it's always been like this. People only really donate when they get some sort of tangible advantage from it. Cosmetics aren't nearly as valuable or desirable on most Minecraft servers because unlike other games, they can only be used on that one specific server and nowhere else. Why would somebody buy cosmetics on a random server when they could download a resource pack or buy a Luna client cosmetic they can use anywhere? To conclude this video, I want to remind you all of one thing. It is not impossible for a non-pay-to-win server to succeed, nor is it impossible for them to surpass pay-to-win ones. But trying to do so is like trying to run without a leg. It's a handicap that makes things vastly more difficult and for 95% of server owners is not a financially feasible method of running a server. So next time you see a pay-to-win server, don't immediately just assume they are greedy or the scourge of the earth. And if you want to see actual change, try to enact it in areas that actually matter and can do harm, like gambling. If you made it this far into the video, you are a true fan. Thank you. I'm never making something this long again. Be sure to check out my server, og-network.net, and come to the server's Discord if you want to debate or talk about this entire topic and more with me. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.